Hey, come here. Can I tell you something? I thought the Celtics were going to get smacked by the Memphis Grizzlies, but they didn't. And I'm going to talk about it right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Boston, baby, we do what you can't. Locked on number 18, Tatum and Brown, J-team, step back. We gon' wet that and slay teams. Of course, the Celtics, who else could it be? Screaming like KG with the Larry O.B. Karalis above average, assessing the team status. Best daily pod, no cap, salary matching. Clutch like Bird the DJ, keep John on replay. Prime time, dapping up the truth on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. B.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast. Thank you for making this show part of your daily routine Monday through Friday and your first listen every day. I really do appreciate that. Locked On Celtics is free. It's available everywhere podcasts exist, and the show is on YouTube. Please watch the show on YouTube. Just an added element here to the entire experience. I'm John Karalis. I cover the Boston Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. I've written a book called The Boston Celtics All-Time All-Stars, and I was one of the media voters on the Boston Celtics 75th anniversary team. The Boston Celtics beat the Memphis Grizzlies 120-107 on national TV. TNT game on Thursday. Celtics, I swear, I said, okay, Jaylen Brown is out. This is a situation where Celtics aren't whole. I've been saying all along, the Celtics need to be whole. They're going to struggle. They're just going to run into this buzzsaw, Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., Desmond Bain. I just thought, okay, this is just not going to go well. Grizzlies are too good. The Celtics are too reliant on Tatum and Brown. And what happened? The Celtics come out and basically lead, for the most part, wire to wire. They came out and started well. They gave up a lead in the second quarter and it got tied, but they went into the half with a 2-point lead. And then in the third quarter, they just kept on just building and building and building and building. So very impressive win from the Celtics. The defense was great. The offense worked. Jayson Tatum did superstar things. Marcus Smart was point guarding. It was a lot of fun. This was a lot of fun. I'm going to get into the third segment. When I get into the third segment, this is the one question that I've been getting all along here now. In all of the comments, Boston Sports Journal, I'm sure in some of the recent YouTube comments, Twitter for sure, can I really believe in this team? Can I really believe in this team? I'm going to answer that question in the third segment. I'll get some individual performances in the second segment, but let's get to three big things, three big reactions here. Before, actually, let me start with this. Aaron Nesmith. I gotta start with Aaron Nesmith because I just feel bad for the kid. Jesus, this kid gets a start in place of Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown misses this game with the sprained ankle, but he was on the sideline. No boot, no nothing, just on his regular sneakers. So that's a good sign, really good sign. Nesmith goes out and misses a shot badly, but then comes back and makes a great defensive play. 5 minutes into the game, he lands on somebody's foot and has to be basically helped off the floor. They said it's a day-to-day thing, so maybe it's not as bad. Maybe it's kind of Jalen-esque in that it looked worse than it is, but that didn't look great. We'll see. Just to clear out, Derek White, he had some sort of stinger in his left elbow. He should be fine. So there's that. All right, let's get to the reactions here. Three big reactions. First, big third quarter for the second game in a row and throughout the course of this season, peppered throughout the course of the season, has been the Celtics being able to come out of the half and really respond. In this case, the Celtics in the first half, the first quarter, they were up by, I think it was 6, and they gave up 20 points in the first quarter. 10 of those points came off of turnovers. 5 of them came off with second chance points. So the Celtics gave up 5 points, just regular offense. And then the rest didn't get the defensive rebound or points off of turnovers. So that was a big issue early on. 11 turnovers for 14 points in the first half. Come out of the half, what do? They go on a 12-2 run. They only have 4 turnovers in the second half, 4 points off of turnovers in the second half. They, after giving up an 11-2 run in the first, at the end of the first half, they open up on that 12-2 run. Second half, third quarter, coming out of the break, coming out of the halftime break, Celtics consistently now are making those adjustments and playing better, playing harder, doing the things that they're supposed to do, cleaning up the mistakes from the first quarter. What's funny is I asked Ime Udoka, what's going on? What makes you guys come out so much better in the third quarter? He goes, well, you've got the coach of the month, which was just hilarious the way he deadpanned that. Now, he was named coach of the month earlier on Thursday. So congratulations to Ime. He does not like those individual awards. Well, I mean, I'm sure he likes them, but he doesn't care about them. And he I was expecting some sort of canned answer, but for him to just joke, and it was obviously joking. He said he was joking. For him to drop the, hey, you got the coach of the month, was just audible laughter in the media room. So nice one from Ime. But they're adjusting. They're buying in. Ime is having a much. I'll backtrack. He's having a good season. He started off poorly, but he's having a good season. Like overall, big picture, start to finish, I'm impressed with everything. Did he make mistakes early on? Of course he did. All of the stuff, the criticisms of him early were fine, like rotation wise and all that stuff. As I've said before in the podcast, if you're given 2 bad choices though, and you make one of those choices and the people say, oh, that was a bad choice. Like, yeah, the other choice was also a bad choice. I don't have any good choices. So maybe it took him longer to figure certain things out, whatever. All along, everybody seemed bought in. No one seemed to waver. In fact, I asked Marcus Smart, because I figured he'd be the one who would say it if this was true. Ime said, these guys want to be coached hard. I am coaching them hard. I'm pushing them. They want it. Smart has said, yeah, we want that, all of that stuff. Everybody agrees, right? So, but I asked, basically, you all are saying all of this stuff, but behind the scenes, like there's got to be some, like in a film session, butting heads of, why aren't you doing this? Or we're trying, what do you want from me? Or anything like that. And Smart's like, no, not really. No, we're pushing each other. We're talking to each other about where I want things to be help wise and all that stuff. But everybody seems to be bought in. So these third quarter turnarounds, these third quarter kind of come out and play strong. This is huge. And let's see if it continues here. It has sort of been a constant thing because the guys are all bought in. They're listening. They're watching film at halftime and they're coming out and they're fixing their mistakes. What a novel idea. The other big thing here, stifling defense. The Celtics right away, you could tell that Ja Morant was going to be struggling. Now he did finish the game with a big performance, mostly in the fourth quarter, but Morant finished with 38 points, which Ime said is the quietest 38 points I've ever seen. Because in quarters 1 through 3, he and Desmond Bane were just non-existent offensively. In quarters 1 through 3, they were combined 9 for 31. Now, Ja Morant's Ja Morant, so he's gonna figure it out, right? And he got going in the fourth quarter, and it became a duel. But the defense, especially Al Horford, I gotta shout out Al Horford. But the switching, the bigs, Robert Williams, Grant Williams to an extent, but Al Horford switching onto Ja Morant, that's supposed to be a mismatch in Memphis's favor, and it wasn't. That is huge. So the defense has to be acknowledged to do the easier said than done, the limit Ja Morant to make him a jump shooter. And part of why he got to 38 points is he started hitting 3-pointers. He ended up hitting 4 3-pointers, but he struggled with that shot early on. In the fourth quarter, he hit 2 of 3. So that means the rest of the way he was 2 of 9. And that's what you want. You want Ja Morant taking 12 3-point attempts. That's the formula right there. Now, Desmond Bane took 10 and hit 5. And eventually, once Ja started getting to the rim, Desmond Bane starts hitting shots. But the defense overall was really, really good. Then you get into the fourth quarter and it becomes a duel. And then it's Jayson Tatum time. And Jayson Tatum time is a great time because Jayson Tatum went off for 37 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, a block, 14 of 25 shooting. And as we've been talking about on the podcast with Tom Westerholm, Jayson Tatum was 2 of 7 from 3, but 14 of 25 overall, which means he was 12 of 18 on 2-pointers. And only 2 of those 18 came from outside the paint. We talked on yesterday's podcast about how he's gotten from November to February, he's taken 10% fewer mid-range shots. All but 2 of his makes were, or attempts, I should say, and they were both makes, came from outside the paint. Tatum in the fourth quarter was awesome. And I'm going to talk a lot more about Tatum coming up after I talk to you about BetOnline. We know football's done. Everybody loves to bet on football, but plenty of basketball left. It's March, so it means March Madness. If you're looking to lay some money down, people love betting on March Madness. NBA playoffs are around the corner. There's only like a couple dozen games left for some of these teams. So go to BetOnline. It's the best spot for all your scores, podcasts, news, player performance props, even find out where the next fired coach is going to land. BetOnline.net's the number one spot for all of that. Not just basketball, though. Hockey, boxing, UFC, everything. So head on over to the website. Use your mobile device. Learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Please gamble responsibly. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Why not make Locked On Now your second listen? Locked On Now is a great recap of the night in the NBA. You get each side. So after this game, you get me, you get Sean Coleman from Locked On Grizzlies, and you get a nice kind of back and forth, both sides of the story. Great recap of the night in the NBA. So get Locked On Now wherever you get your podcast. Also, it's on the Locked On NBA YouTube channel. Let's get to some individual performances. Let's pick right back up with Jayson Tatum. Tatum is, and we've been saying this a bit before, I got to reiterate, he is the most complete player that he has ever been. Jayson Tatum is the most complete player he's ever been. If you were to pull like Rick and Morty and use your portal gun and take this Jayson Tatum and play all the other Jayson Tatums in previous timelines, this Jayson Tatum, the one that walked off the parquet today, he just walks off. You give Ja Morant a hug, you pull out the portal gun, you go and you play last year's Jayson Tatum. This year's Jayson Tatum beats that guy because he's playing such an all-around game. He's playing the best overall basketball of his life, and he's not even shooting great. He's not even shooting 33% from 3, but he's playing so well everywhere else. This Tatum, this guy that's out there, that was out there in the fourth quarter against Memphis, that guy is the best Tatum that we've seen because he's drawing double teams. He's making passes. Pivotal point here in the game coming out in the third quarter, Marcus Smart hits a couple of 3-pointers on a 10-0 run for the Celtics to get this thing back up to double digits. Tatum's out there assisting. Tatum's drawing guys and kicking, and the ball is swinging. Tatum is, like I said, in this game, he had 5 assists, 37 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. He's having a lot more of these like big points and very high rebound, very high assist types of games. He's having a lot more of those through recently, and it doesn't matter that he's not hitting his 3-pointers. He used to go off and hit, like Tatum would hit like the sidestep threes and be 8 of 12 from 3, and that's how he put up a lot of points. He is attacking, as we've been saying, as Tom said yesterday in the podcast. A lot of times he's just putting his shoulder down. There was one drive especially, and I tweeted it out, and I had to tag Tom on it because this is exactly what he said. Tatum was just like, I am going to go. And he just dribbles, and he puts his shoulder down a little bit, and the shoulder goes into the chest. The defender's moving. Defender's like swinging his arms all over the place, trying to defend. And it's a foul. It's just beautiful basketball. And Tatum in this one was 7 of 8 from the line. That's exactly where you want him to be, in that 8, 9, 10 free throw range. That's where Tatum should live, the 8, 9, 10 free throw range. So when you get to 37 points with only 2 3-pointers, well, you score 28 points on 2-pointers and 7 points from the line. So I'm sorry, he's not 28 points. I counted 14, 12 2-pointers. So 24 points on 2-pointers and 7 from the, so 31 of his points came from non-3-pointers. 31 points without the 3-pointers. It's amazing. So Tatum was awesome. Marcus Smart. I am doing my victory laps on Marcus Smart. I continue to do my victory laps on Marcus Smart. I know the people in the YouTube comments. I know the people on Twitter who want to chime in whenever Smart has a couple of turnovers, and he had a couple of turnovers in this game. The live ball turnovers early on were a problem, and Marcus Smart for sure was part of the issue turning the ball over. Tightened it up, and career high tying 12 assists in this game. So not only has he been shooting great, Smart has been dishing. And as I've been saying, Smart can be the point guard on a good Celtics team. Here's a team that's been good, and they continue to be good with Smart as the point guard. They've been great. What are they, 12-1 in their last 13 games with Smart as the starting point guard? And people will be like, oh, but you want to go through 2 months of, play. What about the last 6, 7, 8 years? Well, Marcus Smart hasn't been the point guard all that time. Kemba Walker has. Kyrie Irving has. Isaiah Thomas has. Smart has been asked to come off the bench and play off ball and do all of that stuff. And he hasn't had this consistent starting role as a starting point guard. He has it now. It works. It works, especially for this team. Is he the right starting point guard for every team in the NBA? No. But he's capable of being a good starting point guard in this league and on a winning team. This is a winning team that Marcus Smart is leading as the point guard. Why? Because he's pushing the tempo. He's getting guys settled. He knows what they're trying to run. As he said, when you have Jayson Tatum going on the way he's going, he's like, I'm just trying to get out of his effing way. Like that's what Marcus, he has an awareness. He just, yes, I get emotionally sometimes he goes a little too much, and you have to live with that because that's what fuels the awesome defensive plays that we saw the other day against Atlanta. Some of the stuff that he does, just pure emotionally driven stuff. Smart has been great, I think, as the team's point guard. I think we need to end the discussion of whether he can be the point guard. He is. He's proven it. This is it. I declare Marcus Smart. There's no other, it's done. It's done. Marcus Smart is a successful starting point guard for the Boston Celtics. Done. Other props we got to give before this segment wraps up. Al Horford, not just a defensive menace, which, he did a great job staying in front of Ja as best he could. And until the fourth quarter, sure, okay, Ja's going to go get his. Doesn't matter. He's going to go get his. But for most of the game, Horford was right there stifling Ja Morant. And then you turn around and look at the box score, 21 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists. I was actually surprised when I saw that. I was like, oh man, that's a big game. I didn't realize that he had 21 points, 4 of 8 from 3, 8 of 16 overall. Timely buckets, big rebounding night, 6 offensive rebounds for him, 15 overall. The 5 assists was amazing. Like that's absolute peak Al Horford. And I know that there's some discussion about what do you do with Al Horford next year, and that's going to be an interesting discussion off the in the off season. But I think if basically in a nutshell for me right now, if you're not keeping around as far as trading his salary for a star next year, if you don't need to trade his salary for a star, then just keep him. He's this good. He's still this good. I can't imagine the drop-off is going to be that steep next year. You kind of need this guy around. So I love his play. And then let's just shout out Robert Williams, because I think Horford is such a big reason why Robert Williams can roam around and get those 3 block shots in this game. 10 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 3 blocks. He's so close to that 5x5 game where you have the 5 stats with 5. Like, that's hard to do. That's rarer than a triple-double. And he was a couple of assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks shy. He's going to get it. I swear he's going to get it this season. I don't think anybody played poorly. You go right on down the line. Derek White had his moments for sure. I thought he had made good contribution. Grant Williams, 3 of 3 from 3, had a big contribution. Peyton Pritchard didn't play a ton. Daniel Tice didn't play a ton, but they did good things. Daniel Tice had a couple of possessions fighting, ripping, down low, catching an alley-oop after that for an and one. I mean, that was a spectacular play, high energy play. That was really, really good. So good to see him do that. Everybody that played, here's my favorite stat of the night. Everybody that played, even Aaron Nesmith, who played 5 minutes, had an assist. 33 assists for the Celtics, 46 made buckets. That is huge, which means I think it's time to buy into this team. Just dive in, baby. Just dive in head first. Time to love the Celtics again. Talk about that after I talk about Built Bar. Built Bar. I know you're probably like sitting here. It's March. Maybe you're like, I'm done with the New Year's resolutions. No, you don't have to be. Use Built Bar to help you get back into the gym. It's going to be like a treat. Get back into the gym. You're going to have a Built Bar afterwards because it's great because it fuels your body, gives you protein that you need when you're lifting weights. It doesn't blow out your cardio because it's only going to be somewhere around 130 calories per bar. Think about that. 130 or so calories per bar, only 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, 17 grams of protein. That's huge. So these low-calorie, high-protein snacks or additions to the diet to help in your muscle building, your body reshaping, as a snack that you can replace your candy bars with. Hell, a meal replacement in the morning. If you're in a hurry, you have your coffee while you're taking a shower. Make your coffee. When you come out, put it in the travel mug, grab a Built Bar, out you go, and you can have the Built Bar in traffic. So it helps, get you through till you can go get some lunch later in the day. Go to Built.com. Check it out. Scroll over each flavor. It'll show you what the nutrition facts are. They're not hiding anything. Use a promo code LOCK15. You can use it every single time. So go get a mixed box, little sample box. Try a few flavors. You can get 15% off with the promo code LOCK15. Figure out what flavors you like. Figure out what other potential Built products you like because there's a ton of other products. Then when you want to go and stock up, use the promo code again, LOCK15. Works every single time for 15% off at Built.com. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. How about making Locked On NBA your next listen every day? It's the Locked On experts covering the biggest stories around the NBA Monday through Friday. 30-minute podcast. I am the host of the Wednesday show along with Jake Madison. Now that the Celtics are kind of done playing on Tuesdays, I get to go back to hosting the Locked On NBA show as well. So make sure you're checking it out. It's free wherever you get your podcast and also on YouTube. So the questions, the comments, they keep rolling in after games like this. can I really trust these guys? This is like, we're kind of like in relationship mode. We're in relationship mode where you're not sure if you can trust the other person, and you've gone through some stuff in the past, and you're like, can I just buy back in without getting hurt? Like, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes. That this team, I'm not going to say it's past its bad play, but I think it is past the extended bad habits. Like, I cannot imagine this team going back and playing the way they did for 2 straight weeks, right? Like, and that was the thing in the first part of this season, and for most of last season, all of last season. You have a team that's out there playing kind of blah, and you get a couple of good games, couple of decent games, and you're like, okay, can I trust it? And then you have a couple of bad games, and they still hover around 500. I think now, the way they've made their progress, and Al Horford after the game said, something's clicked, something's there. We just know how to play now. It comes more naturally. We get what we're trying to do. We understand who we are. And sometimes it just takes a little bit longer. And this was part of our discussion yesterday in the podcast as well. I think it's time. This is a team that's now 11 games above 500. They're the 5th seed in the East. I'm going to pull up these standings as I'm talking, because the Celtics have now moved into the 5th seed with 38 wins. They have as many wins as Milwaukee. They have as many wins as Philadelphia. 1 fewer win than the Chicago Bulls. They're all right there. But the Celtics have played 4 more games than the Philadelphia 76ers. So if there's any one thing, the Sixers have to play a bunch of games. The Celtics have like a much looser kind of schedule coming up. And you look at what's ahead. They've got 2 days off before Brooklyn, 2 days off before going to Charlotte. Then they come home for Detroit, 1 day off, then 2 days off before going on the road. They get a couple of back-to-backs later, but after they come home and face Utah, they get 3 days off. So there's a lot of actual rest coming. This is great. I mean, they get Chicago, Milwaukee, and Memphis to finish the season, which is tough, but 2 games off before the Chicago game. There's a back-to-back, 2 games off before the Memphis game. There's a lot of rest periods coming up. The Celtics have played a lot of games, kind of gotten those out of the way. So the Celtics, 4.5 games out of first, a game behind Milwaukee in fourth, 2 games behind Philly and Chicago for second, only 2 games out of the second seed with, 16 games to go. So it's still theoretically possible that the Celtics can climb into the second seed. It's still right there. That's probably not going to happen, but it's possible. I think this is a time to buy in. These guys are playing great defense. These guys are moving the ball. Like I said, 33 assists in this game. Jayson Tatum is playing the best ball of his career. He understands how to play basketball better than he ever has. He is, as I said after the Atlanta game, he is willing. He understands the importance of drawing defenders, drawing double teams, and kicking the ball and having other guys make plays. That makes the game more fun for everybody else on the team. Jalen's going to come back. He might be back by the Brooklyn game. So this is a team that's starting to feel it. They understand who they are. They have their defensive identity. They enjoy their defensive identity. They're starting to shoot the ball better, even though Tatum's not shooting the ball better from 3. They are overall shooting the ball better. They're in the top 10 in the calendar year 2022. So January, February, now into March. They're in the top 10 in effective field goal percentage and true shooting percentage. Effective field goal percentage adds weight for the 3-pointers. So it weights the 3-pointers a little bit differently. It's a little bit different than the regular field goal percentage. And true shooting percentage takes into account free throws as well. So those two shooting metrics, Celtics are in the top 10 since January 1st. That's big because their defense is number one since January 1st. In fact, their defense is almost, it's 0.1 behind the Golden State Warriors, who were running away with this before, have come back to earth since the Draymond Green injury and all of that. But the Celtics are doing the things, playing the way they should play, and it just feels more consistent. Ime's got their ear. He's like they're all bought in. Like it's all coming together now. I feel comfortable saying, yes, go for it. Dive in. They're having fun. Jayson Tatum says, this is basketball at the end of the day, and it's supposed to be a lot of fun. And we've been having a lot of fun lately. Yes, you have. And so have Celtics fans. Basketball has been fun again. And I think let's just dive in. You got to make the leap, right? Trust them. I say they've turned things around. The beginning of the season was something completely different. And now, so long as they stay healthy, which has been kind of like iffy, but Jalen should be coming back soon. If not the Brooklyn game, maybe the Charlotte game, that would have been a week, more than a week since the injury. So he seems like I said, no walking boot or anything like that on the sidelines. He seemed to be moving okay. So I'm ready. I think I'm buying in. I'm buying into this team. I don't know if they are going to be the true contenders like the computer models have said. I don't think that they're going to be quite at that level, but the way their defense is playing, the way Tatum is playing, you throw Jaylen Brown back into this mix. I'm not going to say they don't have a shot. They're probably, I would say they're more in that second tier, but they're second tier with a puncher's chance because that defense is good. That defense, what they did to Ja Morant in this game, I am bought in, baby. I am bought in. If you can stop Ja, okay. I say stop because he had 38 points. He had a fourth quarter burst of 14. They stopped him long enough. They did just enough to let Tatum do what he needed to do. So if you can do that, then maybe you can do it against some of these other big time players. We're going to find out. Brooklyn's on Sunday, 1:00 game, which is a weird time. They should have Durant. They should have Kyrie. So that's going to be an interesting game. I will be here for you after that game for a Monday podcast. So make sure you're subscribed. If you're new and you're still listening, I appreciate it. That means you might enjoy the podcast. It's me alone after games. It's me and Tom Westerholm on some of these off days. So more of me and Tom, more of a co-host to get a little different dynamic in here and mix things up a little bit to try and get you just the best Celtics podcast you can imagine. It's the number one Celtics podcast in the world. And I think it's like that for a reason. We're constantly striving to make the show better and more enjoyable. So if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. You can watch the show on YouTube. If you are a subscriber on any platform, I would hope that you would share the podcast, tell your friends, tell everybody that they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast.